16 fucking months. All right.
I'm
Like
convinced.
I wish I knew what protection, what
Remember
armor enchantments he had, because motherfucker did not die.
Full prot 4 gold.
I'm honestly thinking it was full prot 4 and then maybe 5 prot as well, because he was on fire for so long. He just was not going down. Remember this? I guess I'll never know. It'll always be a mystery.
Today,
Not anymore.
is a mystery no longer.
Not anymore.
Basically, my thought process is that if we calculate the damage, treating the baby zombie like it had unenchanted armor, we can find out if
Time
it was
to
wearing
become
protection
5-head.
or fire protection, as the numbers wouldn't add up correctly if it was. It's possible the zombie was just wearing unbreaking, blast protection, or projectile protection, none of which would affect the calculations. Essentially, if the number we find at the end is more than 20, then it means the zombie with the mystery enchantments matched the same as the unenchanted zombie, which means it couldn't be protection or fire protection. Let's get what we know out of the way first.
Somebody fucking did it.
We know the amount of health the zombie has, its base defense points including the gold armor without enchantments, and its off-screen death.
He died like after I was escaping, after I ran away. You can hear him die in the distance to the fire.
What we need to find out is how many times Philza hit the zombie, as well as how much fire damage it took.
Not enough, apparently.
We additionally need to know the enchants on his sword. The sword was super simple, so I'll get that out of the way first. I found a clip of the enchants on a video linked in the description. The only enchants that we need to know are Sharpness 5 and Fire Aspect 2. We'll keep those in mind for later. Now, going to the main clip, I'll play the full thing here now.
I knew it. I'm getting fucking flashbacks!
As you can see, he hit the zombie 4 times.
Oh, you guys
and
are
if you
huge.
listen closely, you can also count the
Why
damage
is
it
chat
takes from
fucking
fire,
huge?
which is 8 times. That's fairly simple.
Oh,
but
there
what
we
do
go.
we do with this information? Well, we gotta keep in mind that he's on 1.14. If you don't charge your attacks, your damage will be reduced. 3 out of the 4 hits were considered weak attacks. We'll get to those in a second, but for now, we can work with hit number 4, as it was fully charged. A diamond sword does 7 attack damage, and using this helpful little website called the Minecraft Gamepedia, we can see how much Sharpness 5 adds to that. So, according to the equation it gives us, the enchant on his sword will bring his attack damage to 10. So on hit number 4, he dealt 10 attack damage to the zombie.
Shit.
Now, I want to stress that damage dealt is not equal to damage taken. So when I say he dealt 10 attack damage, the zombie definitely did not lose 10 points of health.
Nope.
Because armor will absorb some of it.
That motherfucker did
But again,
not die.
this is something we'll have to come back to. For now, we're trying to find out exactly how much damage was dealt to the zombie. Hits 1, 2, and 3 were a bit trickier, but I'll try my best to explain. We just have to know some background knowledge first.
The effort,
A
dude.
sword takes 0.6 seconds to fully charge. If you attack something before then, the damage will be reduced like I said earlier. This reduction is based on what tick you're on when you use the weapon. In Minecraft, there's 20 ticks per second, so every tick, or 0.05 of a second, the reduction becomes less and less. The fact that it's based on ticks rather than seconds is important here. If we can measure the amount of ticks in between the attacks, we can use this chart found on the Gamepedia to find out how much the
fuck's
reduction
sake, look at that shit, what the
But how do we measure the ticks? Going frame by frame to count them manually. It's a good thing I've done this so you don't have to.
Of course.
Essentially, what I did was track the attack indicator frame by frame. First, I found a constant where it went from appearing on the screen to disappearing from the screen.
60 frames per
This
second.
animation was 18 frames, and if you can't do basic math, 18 out of 30 frames per second is exactly 0.6, or the exact amount of time it takes for swords to fully charge. So now that we know counting frames is accurate,
I was
we can
streaming
count the
60
frames
frames a
of the
second,
hits.
so it was as accurate as it could be,
Hit
pretty much.
number 1 took 8 out of 30 frames per second. Hit number 2 took 3 out of 30 frames per second. And hit number 3 took 9 out of 30 frames per second. So they all match up nicely. Hey, wait a minute, this one's lame and repeats indefinitely. How are we ever going to figure out the damage reduction now?
How the fuck?
Well, it's a good thing it's based on ticks rather than seconds. We just need to round it down. Now, what do we do with these percentages, you ask? These are the certain percentages of the base damage dealt. So with our diamond sword's base damage of 7, we can calculate what the hits themselves dealt. But not quite yet. See, sharpness 5 is still a thing. We need to use this other chart to find out how much of the sharpness multiplier is reduced.
Obviously, I did.
We already determined it added 3 attack damage on a fully charged swing.
This is just like...
So now that we have everything, we can find the final
At this point in the video, I was just like...
Hit number 1 was 35.49 of
Fuck.
7 plus 44% of
Oh,
3,
they did not just... They just did not
3.8043.
stop.
Hit number 2 was 23.20% of 7 plus 20% of 3, which equals 2.224. Hit number 3 was 41.63% of 7 plus 52% of 3, which equals 4.4741. And hit number 4 was obviously 100% of 7 plus 100% of 3, which equals 10. Now, assuming there's no fire protection on the baby zombie's armor, the fire damage from Fire Aspect 2 will just be 8 points of fire damage. The zombie dies on the 8th point of damage, and this is actually extremely important to know, because this basically proves our math correct if we get a number between 20 and 21, since fire can't do more than 1 damage.
Obviously, yeah, obviously.
Now we have to figure out the damage that was actually taken by the zombie. Armor absorbs damage based on something called a defense point. Zombies naturally have 2 defense points with no armor.
It's just getting
Full
too...
gold
It's getting
is
so...
11 points.
Look at this shit, dude.
That brings our total to 13 defense points. Again, since hit number 4 is easy, let's start with this. We'll use this cool chart from the Gamepedia to determine that the damage taken from an attack damage of 10 would be 6.8. So to clarify, he hit the zombie and the zombie took 6.8 points of damage. The rest of the attack damages are decimals, and decently sized ones at that. Luckily, the Gamepedia also just gives us the formula, so we just put these into a calculator and all our problems are solved.
Of course.
Take that, middle school math teacher. Now,
Yeah, fuck
these
you, math
decimals
teacher.
are even longer than the last, but thankfully they're final, so we can round without any worry. I'm fairly certain Minecraft rounds damage to 2 decimals anyway. So to add them all up, the zombie takes 2.12 damage from hit number 1, 1.17 damage from hit number 2, 2.55
You ready for the
damage
big
from hit
reveal,
number
chat?
3,
You ready for the big
6.8
reveal?
damage from hit number 4, and an additional 8 damage from fire. This equates to 20.64 total damage. The math proves that the mystery enchants absorb the same amount as an unenchanted piece of armor.
Wasn't even an OP fucking baby zombie. Literally just basic
but
bitch.
It's definitely not protection or fire protection like Philza thought it had.
Ah!
The Gamepedia does say
That's
that
just
the
a
armor
kick
is
in the
enchanted
face.
at somewhere between level 5 and level 22. So if someone wanted to find out what it was most likely to be, I'm not one to stop them from enchanting thousands of gold helmets and
Didn't even have fire prot.
I'm just not gonna do it because contrary to this entire
If it did,
video,
it was just
I actually
fucking
don't
nothing.
like math all that much. So if you enjoyed,
It took the
please go
exact
ahead
same
and
amount of
subscribe and
damage.
check out my
Didn't
other
do anything to
content.
help him.
I've done a couple other videos like this, as well as some of your good old Hypixel gaming content.
Ah.
So maybe you'll find something you'll like and stick around. Thanks for watching.
Hey, chat, go subscribe. Go subscribe. Hold on. Somebody will probably crunch the numbers at some point and work it out and be like, actually, with this specific weapon and with these amount of crits, he would have had... I love how they put that fucking clip at the end. Literally, this is what they did. Anyway, go sub and